Today's episode is brought to you by the Vegas Beer Guys. The Everything Sequel podcast contains explicit language, and I will not go to my room. Hello and welcome to the Everything Sequel podcast. This is the Bad News Bears edition. Today we pitch our sequels. My name is Michael Shantz. I'm from the How Dare You Awards. Joining me, Pitchmaster himself, working to throw his curveball at me, Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Say hello, Tom.
Let's call the Colonel! I have a question for you.
Yes?
Having grown up in America and around about the time in which the Bad News Bears sequels take place, was there ever a time when the KFC sides didn't come as part of the deal? Like, did you have to get them a la carte up to a certain point?
Oh, I don't remember. That's a tough one.
Because that really struck me when he said biscuits and coleslaw are extra.
Yeah, right.
Like, compared to today's KFC, where essentially, as I understand it, you couldn't just get a bucket of chicken at this point. Like, they take the bucket of chicken and they put it in a trough with all the other sides. They pour gravy over it, wrap it in a tortilla.
Yeah, right.
And that's what you get.
Yeah, that's what you get.
I can't imagine a time where now you would struggle just to order chicken at a KFC.
Well, I could be wrong. I don't know. I was going to say I don't remember. You know, it's different than today with the meals, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's what, yeah, definitely. You know? It's, yes.
So I think that's the big difference. And, I mean, I remember you could get a Happy Meal at McDonald's, but I don't remember, I think it was.
Oh, so KFC hadn't even sort of, like, packaged their...
Yeah, I think I think it was a separate deal. You got like a bucket of chicken and then you get your sides.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know for sure. It's been a long time.
What, since you went to KFC or?
Well, that, but also, like as a kid, I could only really...
I now live next to a KFC.
Oh, do you?
So I don't go. Like I don't really go, but I see the deals in the window.
Yeah, right.
And I'm just like, it like I said, it always looks like a trough filled with anything that you can buy at
You're
KFC.
not wrong about that. I can only remember as a family us getting Kentucky Fried Chicken a couple of times, like having a clear memory of it.
Yeah.
Wasn't a common thing for us. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, nor should it be.
Yeah, that's true. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. It's time for Tom and I to finish up this series by pitching a couple of sequels.
So, yeah, despite the intro, we're not talking about Kentucky Fried Movie.
Yeah, no. We're still talking baseball. Good luck, Tom. Is your movie gonna have it?
Jose Canseco.
Is your movie gonna have any baseball in it?
Ken Griffey and his grotesquely swollen jaw. Literally, as I said on a previous episode, all I know about baseball is that episode of The Simpsons.
What was the juice that they were drinking, or he was drinking?
Nerve tonic.
Nerve tonic.
Mr. Burns gives him nerve tonic. By the end of the episode, he's just completely disfigured and deformed.
Thanks, Coach.
That's right in the wheelhouse of some of the greatest Simpsons episodes.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I forgot about that song. What a great song.
It's amazing, and it's done looks like an old timey filter they put.
Yeah,
over
right.
The credits as well. It's just absolutely perfect. Yeah, whenever I think of anything to do with baseball, when it's like in these movies when the coaches give signals, I just think of Mr. Burns and his impenetrable hieroglyphic signals that he does.
Oh, man. Yeah, so, I mean, how hard was this for you, considering your lack of knowledge of baseball? I can't imagine that was too difficult, was it?
I don't think that helped me back at all. What are you talking about? If you told me the people who made these movies had never seen a baseball game, I'd be
would make sense.
Sure.
That's great.
No, that wasn't an issue at all.
All right.
No. What about you? As this podcast resident baseball expert.
Well,
which again is not it's a low bar.
A low bar
that you're jumping over here.
You know, I think I did want to say something about what it means to be a team, which I think I kind of alluded to in the last episode. Because you can have great baseball players on a team and still be a bad team. And it's interesting that in sports, you know, you could have those same players play the next year and then be great. Yeah. You know, it's how well they play together, how well they know each other, how well they gel. And sometimes that takes time, and sometimes it just clicks right away. You never know.
Yeah, in my terms, it's like the difference between, you know, Alex Ferguson managing Man United and then Man United without him. It's like they still had the best players in the world, but they didn't have a manager who could pull them together and turn them into a unit. Yeah. It happens in sports all the time. It's why sport is so frustrating, but also so attractive. Yeah. Because you know your shitty team can become something. Right. In the right circumstances. And, you know, you also know that the people at the top can fall away at any moment if they're not managed properly.
Look at you.
Well, I think, no, that's the interesting thing. I think sports movies as a genre riff off universal sports themes that are not specific to any one sport. Yeah. Or the good ones do, because then you alienate large demographics of people who aren't interested in that particular sport. So it makes sense that, you know, Field of Dreams is a movie about fathers and sons. It's not a movie about baseball. Yeah, right. You know, Eight Men Down is a movie about corruption. It's not about
Eight Men
baseball. Out. What's Eight Men Down? Is there a movie called Eight Men Down?
I don't think so.
That was the sequel.
They
rigged the World Series again the next year.
I just assumed you were laying down a trap for me. That you
No trap. I just didn't know the name of the film.
Okay. I thought it was a test.
So I think it's like Sports Plus, right? You've got everything. Or you can, take the opposite track with like a Rocky series where you take everything that's inherently exciting about the sport and you try to bring it to cinema. Mm-hmm. Although boxing is one of the, it seems to translate very well to cinema. There's a lot of really great boxing movies throughout the history of cinema.
Certainly.
From Champion to Raging Bull.
Don't forget Tough Enough with Dennis Quaid.
Okay. I will remember that existed, and then I won't forget it.
Perfect. I haven't seen that one in a long time. I remember watching, really loving it as a kid.
I say the greatest boxing movie of all time. If anyone's never seen it, Champion with Kirk Douglas. Mm. You watch that back to back with Raging Bull.
You're gonna have a good day. Yeah, that's a good day.
Well, no, I was saying the opposite. I think Raging Bull looks like a piece of trash compared to this.
Oh, you don't like Raging Bull?
I like Raging Bull, but I think it is overrated. But
okay,
I think it stole a lot off, and it's Scorsese, so I definitely know he knows these movies. Mm-hmm. I think it took a lot from earlier boxing movies that people haven't seen and attribute to Raging Bull, which is not his fault.
Okay, yeah.
Nor is it the fault of the film, but
no, yeah.
It's the same with when I grew up thinking Miller's Crossing was the greatest gangster film of all time, and then I saw the movies and read the books that it was based on, suddenly it didn't look as good.
I still like it.
That's good, but it ain't no Glass Key.
All right.
Or Red Harvest.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think a sequel for the Bad News Bears must have?
This is a trick question?
No.
I would say... off the top of my head, baseball, but I could imagine a Bad News Bears film that didn't, where there was no baseball game without any particular loss to the movie.
All right.
Bad Behavior.
Interesting.
Bad Sportsmanship.
Okay.
This is it. Like, it's actually a really interesting way of putting it, because I'm like, what's the minimum it needs to have? And I'm thinking about the sequels we've seen.
Sure.
Like, they need a coach. They get away without a coach for most of the second movie, and they don't really have one at all in the third movie.
In the third movie, yeah.
I guess, kids.
But you called both those movies bad, too.
Yeah, not because they... I don't think those aspects of the movie hurt it particularly badly. I guess you need you need to take away some of the team and add new members of the team.
Oh, interesting.
They did Carmen in the first movie. Is it Carmen or Carmine?
I think it's Carmen.
I think it is Carmen.
Yeah.
Feels like it should be Carmine, but it
does.
Carmen.
Yeah, it does.
But that's
it feels like it
that's
should be
my
that.
Racism. That's my racism. Not
exactly.
Theirs. And then Mustafa.
Yes.
So it's like real sports, isn't it? It's like you're trading players off season.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. It was an interesting way to start for me. When I was thinking about, like, is it different? Like, what does a baseball movie have to have? What does a Bad News Bears movie have to have?
Oh, yeah, they are different.
That's got to be different, right?
Definitely.
And
yes. Yeah.
But then it was like, I started thinking, what kind of sequel do you want to make? And
well, this is it. I mean, it's of the two sequels are entirely different from each other. So does that mean
right?
Does that mean you try and speak to one and not the other, or does it mean you have to do something entirely different again?
Yeah. Well, but I think there's a kind of a third option that I ended up landing on.
Oh yeah, I didn't do any of that. I'm talking about what should happen. I'm not talking about what I did.
All right. Let me ask you this. You spoke in the last episode about the breadcrumbs left at the end of Go to Japan.
Certainly did.
I feel like knowing you couldn't resist that.
Well, it's interesting, like when you were saying that you ask yourself these questions as a starting point, in the back of my mind is going, he's really overthinking it. They handed this movie to us on a platter.
That's great.
They literally... But, I mean, that was it. I was sort of like... I struggled for a while. I was like, God, what do you do? And then I remembered that the Bad News Bears Goes to Japan ends with Tony Curtis as Marvin Lazar pitching the next film. And nothing that he says is anything that wouldn't happen in a sequel. So I was like, well, okay then. And it goes back to my comment, I think, in the ranking episode. It's like, these movies are not shooting for the moon. Why should I?
Perfect.
So you're absolutely right. Your instincts are dead on. You know me better than I know myself. because I didn't think I was going to do this until I had a come to Jesus with myself.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, okay, let's just try and make the best version of
that movie?
of the movie that is trailed at the end of Bad News Bears Goes to Japan.
Was it easy or hard?
It's easy for me because, it's like...
Braggart.
Ironically, it is... What?
Braggart.
I'm not bragging. No, it was easy for me because I was thinking that... I wasn't thinking about it in terms of quality. I was thinking about it in terms of like quality storytelling or anything. I was just thinking of it like, ironically, like a game. It's like... What move do you make here to get you to here?
Yeah, right.
But in going about it that way, relatively happy with what I've got.
Well, I want to hear it.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, do you want to tease what you've done? You said a third option.
So
just tease it a little bit more, and then I'll give mine.
I guess. What do I want to give away? I'll say that there's a thing in sequeldom, and you talk about it often, about looping back.
Right.
And so I wanted to loop.
Well, I'm at a disadvantage there, because I haven't seen Bad News Bears.
That's true.
But so I wanted to do that, but couldn't.
I'm going to loop back, but retain the whole as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, we might not be that dissimilar then.
Okay.
But
I want to, it's funny you say that because or rather, it was funny that you, in the last episode, you mentioned that Lazar talks about what about next year in Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what was wrong with me that I didn't write that down, so I'd forgotten it by the time we got to it. But
fascinating.
I can't believe I did that. But I want to now include it in my pitch.
You remember we do this episode, right?
Yep,
every time.
I know.
They're handing it to you on a plate, Mike. We've never had a gift like this.
I'm going to work it in. It's going to be fine.
That's brilliant.
I immediately thought I know exactly what I could do with
that. That's great credit to you. You were trying to actually take this job seriously, not just run with the first idea that is presented your way.
I thank you.
And it means that, that our pitches are... Although
we're not going to have the same pitch.
I think had you remembered that happened, you wouldn't have done that story because you knew I would.
Maybe. You're probably right. I would have never been so sure of your pitch as I am for this. Yeah. It seemed like like the second you said that, I thought, oh, I know what Tom's doing. Of course.
It's like the Stargate, It's like you can't see anything outside of that tunnel.
Yeah.
Just bam, straight through. All right.
Now, can I ask you, is it as simple as a title as The Bad News Bears Go to Cuba?
Not quite.
All right.
More or less. But not quite.
Okay.
The title of my pitch is The Bad News Bears Invade Cuba.
Oh. I like that. I like what you've done.
Thank you. And it is actually more of a descriptive title than it might seem, because I think that distinction is important to the plot of the movie. So, we begin the CIA headquarters in Langley.
Right before you said CIA...
Oh.
You
always do this. You're like, go first, and then I say one word. You have 5 questions.
Right before you said CIA, you kind of put your head down in a way in which I knew something was coming. I won't say I knew what was coming, but the second you said it, it made complete sense.
Yeah. CIA headquarters, Langley. We get the classic X-Files ticker tape.
Ooh, nice.
Across the screen. Hey, we got a time machine. I'll throw in an anachronism here and there.
Yeah,
go. We have a CIA agent with a file racing through the corridor. He goes into the office of his supervisor, places it down, has the classic "for your eyes only" pornography seal on it.
Mm-hmm.
Opens up. We look inside the file. In the name of the operation. Operation Bay of Bears. Roll credits.
Fantastic.
Roll credits, and the credits are gonna take us back into the baseball field. Am I using that word correctly?
I believe so. Yes. You could say Diamond.
The bad news. Okay, Diamond, where the Bad News Bears do their training or break training,
as the case.
Basically where we started breaking training. That's
right.
Where we are. Okay, and the Bad News Bears. Everything that Marvin Lazar said at the end of Go to Japan is the case. They're planning on it's a year later.
Mm-hmm.
So we're 79 now. Yeah, 79.
Yes. Is Lazar still the coach?
Yeah, I'm gonna get there.
Mm.
So, the plan is they're going to Cuba. They're gonna play a Cuban baseball team. They're having coach tryouts. Marvin wants to take more of a managerial role, so they're having coach tryouts.
We've
rather
got some
than
similarities.
Oh, okay. So the tryouts for the coach are twofold. So you've got two stations. One of them is can they coach the team to play baseball? The second station is the Marvin Lazar kind of casting couch,
right?
Where he's basically checking if they're what they look like on camera, whether they've got the necessary charisma to be a TV celebrity, all that sort of stuff. And of course, as you well imagine, one is conflicting with the other. We're getting someone who's good at one and not good at the other, and without going into detail because I don't have the information.
You didn't even finish your homework.
I can't give it. I'm only your memory. I can't give out new information. These will be basically every coach that's being tried out will be a known real world baseball coach. And they'll be doing an incredible job at coaching the team. We'll see them in action. And then they get to the Marvin Lazar casting couch, and they're absolutely hopeless. They just can't do it. So Marvin is basically blackballing everyone that the team approve. And,
right.
Obviously us as the audience are going, wow, you rejected... give me a name.
I wanted you to give me a name.
I can't. I only a memory. I can't give out new information. Give me a name.
It would be, well, I guess at that time you could say like Earl Weaver.
Earl Weaver, there we go. You know what it's like? It's like, when they wrote the Star Trek scripts and they left gaps for all the science stuff and sent it to a scientist. Yeah. That's what my script will be like.
Oh, you could have Sparky baseball. Anderson, too. That'd be great.
Yeah, that's right. Great, Sparky Anderson.
There's
it'll
no
be a
way
series
Lazar could say that Sparky Anderson didn't have the charisma.
But that would be even funnier, wouldn't it? Because they'd all have to pretend that they were hopeless on screen and didn't have what it takes. So we have a lot of fun with that. And then, once we've had enough sports cameos, we get to a guy who is clearly a CIA operative trying to sneak in. And he goes over well with the team. Like they buy that he's a real coach and that they'll do a good job. They have a great rapport. When he gets to Marvin's station, Marvin's like, oh, this could be the guy, right? He's like, he's handsome, he's charismatic, he looks good on camera. Marvin's getting some interference though on his TV camera setup that he's got there at the
of course,
at the baseball diamond. And that's when he realizes that there's a surveillance van nearby. And that's how he figures out. Well, yeah, because he can hear the CIA guys in the van talking.
Fantastic.
And he's like, this guy, this guy's a CIA operative. We can't take him. So Marvin figures out, it's like, no, we got to go in there legit. This isn't a government operation. We're just going there to play baseball.
He's learned his lesson.
He's learned his lesson. And then, but he doesn't say that to the CIA guy. He just says, not today, thank you. No, thank you. But the important thing is the CIA operative managed to swap out the baseballs that the Bad News Bears are using with exploding baseballs that they were going to use to try and assassinate Castro.
Oh my God.
As part of Operation Bay of Bears.
It seems pretty dangerous with a group of kids.
Right, but those exploding baseballs are still there.
Okay.
And so he goes back to the surveillance van. It's like, well, they didn't pick me, but those exploding baseballs are there. And they're like, So anyway, we get, and of course at this point Marvin's sort of negotiating with the Cuban government to try and get the Bears out there. We hit a snag. Castro said, we don't want, capitalist Americans coming into our country, and he's pulled the whole thing. And
they canceled the game again?
Canceled the game again, even before they were out there.
Fantastic.
And so Marvin's talking to the Cuban representative. He's there at is there a Cuban ambassador? Probably not, right? Cuban embassy in LA?
I don't think so.
Okay, he's at the
I wonder if there is now, though. No?
Possibly fictional Cuban embassy in LA.
Yeah.
And talking to the Cuban ambassador, is like, I might be, Castro changes his mind all the time because he's a filthy communist. He doesn't say that, but that's what the screenwriters are thinking, right? Clearly.
You're the screenwriter.
But I'm also I also know what these movies are like, right? I'm trying to write in the spirit of these movies.
Yes.
And he says, if you could find a coach who is sympathetic to socialism, I might be able to sell it to him.
Mm.
It's like, and Marvin Lazar's like, this is America. Where are we gonna, so what do you want me to go into, like an American Communist Party meeting and try and find someone? And he's like, no, it doesn't have to be someone who's a communist. It'd just be someone who is into trade unionism, so a shop steward somewhere. Kelly is outside listening in to this conversation.
Of course.
And he's like, oh, shop steward. He realizes in the contact that he's been keeping up with his father since the two of them reconciled in 1977.
Question?
His father is the shop steward at the American lead pipe plant that he works at.
Yeah.
In Texas. In Houston? Yeah, in Houston.
Houston.
And so he gets on the phone with his dad. It's like, you come and coach us. You could get us into Cuba. And he's like, well, I'm only a stop steward because they were going to take away our benefits if someone didn't do it. And I drew the short story. It's like, it doesn't matter. And you're a great coach. And, we can spend time together. All that stuff.
Right.
So that's how they get in to Cuba. With William Devane is now back as the coach.
All right.
Marvin is the manager. They arrive in Cuba. And as their training begins in Cuba, obviously they've got the exploding baseballs, which somehow didn't get picked up, by the TSA,
right,
on either side. And so they've got the exploding baseballs. They got William Devane in tow, and on the first night of training, everything's going great. They're like, oh, these guys are good. We got to raise our game. Remember the think strategy. It's like, you guys are rusty, but we can pull you back to where you were when the Houston game was when did they win that game? They won that game.
Yeah, they won that game.
They won that game. It's like, yeah, your own. We can pull you back to when you had your only win. But like on the night, basically on the first night, when William Devane starts talking to the coaches on the opposing team, he gets a very clear sense that this game is rigged from the start. There's no way that Castro is going to let an American team win in Cuba. And, you know, he's being approached to throw the game by various representatives of the Cuban government. So what does an American in that situation do? Go straight to Guantanamo. Walks up to the gates of Guantanamo and he's like, guys, I got to talk to you. Of course, they put a bag on his head.
Oh yeah.
As he goes inside, and he's like, "Why'd you put a bag on my head? I said I was coming in of my own free will." He's like, "Standard operating procedure for Guantanamo." And he says, "Look, they approach you. It's like then they're not gonna." It's like, you know, I'm not gonna do your dirty work for you, but there's no way the Bears are gonna win this game. So, they still haven't told him about the exploding baseballs, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's a secret that they're still keeping because they think that he wouldn't. His son play. One of the CIA guys is like, don't tell him his son plays. He'd be worried about him getting hit in the crossfire of that. So we can't tell him about the exploding baseballs. But they are. But the American government are working behind the scenes with William Devane to try and level the playing field so that both teams have a chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, we've got a game which is evenly matched. It could go either way. Probably, you know, but we have these exploding baseballs, so probably what we're going to end up with is like it'll go down to the final moments of the game, the last hit, but the last hit will be an exploding baseball.
Now, when does it explode? The second it hits the bat, or?
Yeah.
So it just blows up the children?
Well, no, it's like
is
basically
it a big enough bomb to blow up the whole stadium?
But it's like it's like something's happened along the way that's kind of made it faulty.
Ah.
So it doesn't end up killing Castro, but we also don't know who won the game. And that's Bad News Bears Invade Cuba.
Well, I loved all of it until the end.
What didn't like the exploding baseball?
Well,
it's just a device so we don't know who won the game because it's like the tightest possible game until the end.
I want to
then
know
exploding
who wins
baseball
the game.
comes. Everyone runs for cover in the game, and then the game is abandoned. And then they have to flee Cuba. They have to flee Cuba by a CIA plane very quickly. So like the credits will be them like, you know, like that scene in Godfather 2 where it's like, Fredo, it's the only way out of Cuba.
That's great. All right, I'm on board.
Okay.
Good times.
There you go.
They really did invade Cuba.
They did. They didn't even know they were doing it.
Yeah.
So there we go.
All right. Are you ready?
I think so, yeah.
All right. My sequel is titled, very simply, The Bad News Bears Go for the Title.
Oh, great. Oh, excellent title.
Thank you.
Because you got the go from
I
Go
got
to
the go
Japan.
from the last one.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to retcon what these movies forgot and remembered.
I take it all back. You're going to try and retcon the retconning of the retcon.
No, I'm not actually retcon. No.
Okay.
But what I've decided is the Bad News Bears learn that the only way they can go to Cuba is by being the champions of California.
This is an interesting late rewrite.
Yes.
Oh, so wait, they have to become the champions of. So what is that? What is that Astrodome?
That
win.
was just that was bringing the best of California to Texas for a game. near as I can tell.
So this is the first time they're trying to get back the title they lost from the first film.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm on board.
Like you know, they decide, well, we're going to start with the kids all together at the baseball diamond in similar fashion.
I believe it's called a field, Mike.
And there's going to be this question of, listen, if we want to go to Cuba, we have to win the title. So what are we going to do, and who is going to be our coach? And you're going to have one kid, maybe it's Ahmed, who says, well, Butterfield, brought us to the championship that year. So maybe we should have Butterfield back. And then somebody else will say, yeah, but, Kelly's dad, he helped us win in Houston, so we should have him. To which Kelly will reply, or to which somebody else will reply, yeah, but he lives in Houston. Like, he can't just come out and just coach us all season long when he lives in Houston. And that's when Kelly's going to say, actually, my dad is moving out here so we can be closer.
Ah.
And somebody else will say, well, what about Marvin? And everybody will say, Marvin? Marvin should be a part of the team. He can promote us, but he can't coach us.
Yeah.
And what's going to end up happening is it's not like yours in the sense that they're going to have a tryout, but they're going to bring all three together. And they're going to be like, who should it be? You're going to have Walter Matthau saying, well, I think it ought to be me. I brought you to the championship. But Devane...
You're a chic man, Rico.
There you go. Yes. Devane, not only is he coming out to California, but he's got a new wife who has his own kid. An all-star shortstop.
No. Oh, no.
And so they're going to decide
it's really good.
that all three of these coaches have to work together. And they're going to coach the team together. And
yeah, it's like The Godfather.
Yeah.
Every son.
Right.
Every son has one part of the whole,
Yeah.
of the Don Corleone whole, yes.
What I like about it is, 'cause you wouldn't know this, but part of the first movie is that Butterfield, Walter Matthau, was a minor league baseball player. And I don't think it's directly said in Breaking Training, but you get the sense that at least Devane played baseball.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And so I like I picture this moment in which they're both talking to each other about the places they played and the things they've done. Yeah. And there's Tony Curtis off to the side, kind of playing with his necklace and his medallions. He's going to say, eventually he's going to say, either of you guys, you ever done any show business stuff? And they stop their conversation and look at him and say, no. And then go back to talking about coaching baseball. So the kids are
There's
like,
got to be a scene where he makes them over.
Yes,
takes
exactly.
them to a tailor and gets them suits and things. Yeah.
So Marvin, baseball-wise, they say you can be at first base. You could be the first base coach. It's where you could do the least amount of damage. And he says, like you just said, I was going to say, he says, I can help you guys, work on the aspect of making this team look good for the cameras so that once we win, we get to go to Cuba.
Right.
They say, great. But what it is like you have this division of labor and the coaches don't know, Devane and Butterfield are not sure who should be doing what. And their division ends up making the team when they first start. Once again, the Bears are playing bad, Tom. They have this new kid. They've got, I thought in my mind that you could get, because you have Butterfield, you get Amanda back, Tatum O'Neal from the first movie, and you get Carmen back.
There was a girl in this team?
Huh?
There was a girl in this team?
Yeah, in the first movie.
Why did they take out that element for the sequels?
I couldn't tell you. Well, I assume
I'm
that
glad I
Tatum.
said that these were bad movies.
I assume that Tatum O'Neal just didn't want to come back, and they were like, "Great."
But there are other women
Of course.
who act.
Yes. So
Wow.
you're gonna get
Oh, that is new information.
Amanda and Carmen back, so that you have two good pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to be arguing about, like, who gets to start, who's the reliever, who's going to, do this, who's going to do that. Kelly's now going to be arguing with the new ball player for the best on the team kind of nonsense. So there's discord within the team. And, by midseason, they all have to come together. The coaches have to get their shit together so that the kids can get their shit together so that they start playing. I'm thinking... I don't really remember. I mean, I can picture his face, but I don't remember the actor's name or anything from the first movie. I thought we should move on to a new villain team.
Okay.
And have like a, I part of me wanted to bring back the dad from Gimme a Break, who's got a vested interest in beating the Bears.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So I think that's where I'm leaning towards, and so he's taking on a new team, and they're a bunch of bullies and terrible people doing this and doing that. And then, of course, once they come up with a division of labor, Devane will take care of taking the kids in the field, and Butterfield's working on the pitchers. They both work together to work on batting. And meanwhile, Marvin's just making the team look good the whole time. Oh, I also thought it was a good idea maybe that Mustafa is now old enough to be on the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's playing on the team as well.
And as we know, Ahmed is already a grown man now, so he's aged out of the program.
Maybe he takes his brother's place.
Yeah. And
then the only question is, can they get their shit together in time to win the last big game, take the championship, and go to Cuba? And so
can they?
They do indeed.
Oh, wow, excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bad News Bears go for the title.
It's their Rocky 2.
Yeah.
But would you have it so that they...
What I like is it's kind of like an aftermath sequel, but an aftermath sequel.
Right. Well, no, it's an aftermath sequel, and the previous two films were interquels.
Yeah, there we go.
Would you have it so that it's a narrow and possibly contestable win? Like it's comes down to being in and out by like a millimeter or something.
Well, yeah, I mean a play at home plate is what I imagined. Yeah.
Yeah. But almost like I don't know what the equivalent would be of the falling down at the same time.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, from Rocky 2.
Yeah, I mean...
That's for the rewrite.
Hard to do in baseball, falling down at the same time.
There must be an equivalent, though. There must be like the ball and the body are moving at exactly the same speed.
Mm-hmm. You could have a charge at the plate, and it's whether or not the catcher drops the ball.
Yeah. Or it turns out that the umpire is Leslie Nielsen. And he just calls it all wrong anyway, and the Bears win.
Steve Reich. Yeah, if it's a...
And that's all I know about baseball, everyone. It's Simpsons and the Naked Gun.
He's at the end of his rope.
Yeah.
If the bully team were... You're going to probably have some bully scenes in the middle of the movie. And if they're truly terrible, maybe having Kelly or the new player or Engelbert, somebody big and tough, knocking that person, the biggest bully, on his ass so that he drops the ball. Because then you could have the slow motion, them both falling to the ground.
That's true.
So then it's just a question of whether or not...
The series loves Rocky pulls.
He drops the ball, yeah.
Yeah.
So there you have it. The Bad News Bears go for the title. And it also sets up going to Cuba.
I guess it does, right? Yeah.
So we can go from mine into yours.
Kind of. Although then William Dafoe would have to go back. Well, I guess he could stay in
Yeah,
LA.
it's we'd have to resolve that Devane question, I guess.
Yeah. Butterfield would have to die of a heart attack. Maybe that's how my film could start.
Not out of the realm of possibility. He does drink a lot of beer in that first movie.
We just use a scene from we used the scene of him in Grumpy Old Men.
Yeah.
And he's having the heart attack.
Right.
We're like, I don't know why he's out on a...
Why is he in the middle of a
frozen
ice
lake
sheet? Yeah. He's on vacation. Well, there you have it.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
Couple of good pitches, I think.
I think that's a really strong... Yours is like a really strong sequel remake kind of...
Yeah.
Which we'll see, when we get around to doing these.
Well, I like the idea of looping back to the
the
original where you're in the actual Little League and trying to win that championship, but then you're also looping back to previous sequels and including all of that.
And now we can use that idea of kind of going forward but going back at the same time and evaluate that against the reboot that they did and whether one is better than the other. I think I already know which one is a preferable route, but let's pretend we don't for when we get there on Patreon.
Settle down, sir. You haven't seen either, so just take it easy.
Okay. I won't prejudge
all right.
until we've discussed them on Patreon.
Patreon, indeed. That's where you get our bonus material.
Yeah, that's right.
It's becoming an episode of Cinemax After Dark right now.
Yeah, it is. It is leaning too far into erotica, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what do you call it? I was gonna say BDSM, but is it BDSM? The audio porn thing?
Sure. That sounds
BDSM
right.
something totally different?
I don't know.
I think that's wrong. I think that's something. I think that is porn, but a totally different kind of porn.
But like aggressive.
ASMR? ASMR? What's the...
Oh, now
where you lean into the microphone and say sexy things and people come in their pants. Don't act like you've never heard of it. ASMR, I think it is. BDSM, I think is... I don't know. I gotta stop talking.
You're taking us down a road that is gonna get us sued and fired and murdered. I don't like where we are right now.
Definitely clicking that not suitable for kids on YouTube when I post this episode.
Woo. Well, the first one sounded like something I'd heard of before. The second one, not so much.
Maybe maybe that's how we brand our Patreon. It's like Baywatch Nights or...
Yeah, right?
But that wasn't sexier than Baywatch, was it? Baywatch was already pretty sexy.
I mean, plenty sexy.
If anything, Baywatch Nights was less sexy because he was a detective, right?
God, I forgot about Baywatch Nights. That's fantastic.
You know what I'm talking about,
yeah,
right? David Hasselhoff was a private detective in the evenings.
It's like it was like Knight Rider without the car.
Baywatch without the beach.
Baywatch without the beach. Yeah. There you go.
Without the bay.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to tell us which of these pitches you like the most. You can do that by finding us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Send us that email to everythingsequel@gmail.com. Look out for Tom's poll. It'll be in the field. And as always, if you haven't already, subscribe to our Patreon. Mm-hmm. Give us a few bucks and you get bonus content.
Yeah.
Am I right or am I right, Tom?
You're right. And, this is going to be one of our future double headers.
Big time. Not
That's
bad.
a baseball term.
I like it.
Yeah. Because we do originals and reboots and we match them up.
And this movie's got one of each.
And this movie's
or
got
this
one
series.
of each, yeah. And it's like when we started this process, I was like, oh, I wonder if we're be able to get them to match every time. And now I'm like, we're never gonna run out of these.
Don't speak too soon, sir.
Oh, honestly, we've got years of this in the bag.
I'm excited.
From what we've already done. Yeah.
All right. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have a new series coming at you next time. For now, we say goodbye. For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, Michael Shantz here of the How Dare You Awards. Say goodbye to them, Tom.
Next year, Cuba.
That is a
This is where you accuse me.
A blatant attempt to try and put your sequel above my sequel with your last line. How dare you?
I knew you were going to go there. I knew that you were going to accuse me of trying to court the electorate.
As you were. I stand by it.
Yeah. What better way to sign off, though?
I can't disagree.
Next year, Cuba. And there wasn't a movie next year, and it wasn't set in Cuba.
Until now.
Like all good... Well, yes. Like all good sequels, it plans for a future that never happens.
Fantastic. All right. So long, everyone.
I like to think I know something about beer, but nowadays even I get overwhelmed when confronted by the exhaustive selection of craft beers they have at bars, breweries, and even grocery stores. Back in the day you had one, maybe two craft beers to choose from, and if you were confused, you ordered a Guinness. But in beerstinations like San Diego, the craft beer options lately are in double, sometimes even triple digits. So what's a beer drinker to do? You need what I need, the Vegas Beer Guys. Your beer of choice should be a perfect blend of malt and hops. And so a live show about beer needs that same balance. And the Vegas Beer Guys matches beer expert Dan Aker with self-proclaimed beer novice Stephen J. Weiss. The results are eminently drinkable. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. They'll try new beers, they'll tell you about beer. Think of them as your beer Sherpas guiding you up a foamy-headed mountain to reach the peak of your pint. God, I need a beer. Did you know that the Everything Sequel podcast has a sequel? It's our Patreon, and for a low monthly donation, you can get up to 2 exclusive, full-length, ad-free bonus episodes. $5 a month gets you an episode discussing all the original movies from the series we've covered on the podcast. And that's a lot of snakeheads. But $10 a month scores you the reboot. To boot. Support Everything Sequel on Patreon and reap the benefits of amazing brand new content you quite literally can't get anywhere else. Got more money than sense? We also offer one-time payments that will get you in the driver's seat of the podcast, maybe even the passenger seat. That metaphor doesn't work, but our show does. So join the Patreon and believe the hype. It's a sequel.